Okay, why don't we dive into it? So I'll just kick it off. So I'm happy this is Ishu. Appreciate you taking the time to join this open demo. This format's worked pretty well for us. Sometimes people don't want to book a one-on-one demo for whatever reason. Here you can just kind of listen in. If you do have questions, feel free to just pop it in the chat, or you can just unmute and ask the question, or you're welcome to wait till the end. The demo should take about 30-35 minutes. We're just going to go pretty deep into it. And then, yeah, we'll leave 5-10 minutes at the end for questions. Overall, yeah, I'm going to pass it to Ishu. Ishu is going to lead the demo today, and then I'm going to be the persona of a site manager doing working through the collaboration pieces, and Ishu is going to be the VDC engineer or the pre-construction engineer building out the site logistics plan. So without further ado, we will dive into it now. And like I said, I'm going to be working the chat behind the scenes here. So if you have a quick question, you're welcome to just pop in the chat, or you can just wait till the end. All right, Ishu, over to you.
Alrighty. Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm gonna be doing the demo and show you the product. Um, I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. Let me know if everything is good on your end, if you can see my screen. And I think looks good. Perfect. So yeah, so I'm gonna start with the finish, show you the output, what the product is all about, and I'll build a new project from scratch with all the features and functions, showing that in there. So what is cmBuilder? It's a fully web-based 3D site logistics 4D simulation platform. It's everything's running on the browser. There's no local installation required. In this case, I'm running it on my Chrome browser. I also have a couple tabs actually open in my Mozilla and Edge as well. I do quite use them at too. But yeah, no local installation required. And then the way it works is you start with an address. You punch in an address. It generates a map tile, as you see on the screen, and then you can bring a lot of inputs from your end and then create a simulation of what your site is going to look like. So you can bring in your drawings, you can bring in 3D models. I'll talk more about everything in detail in a moment. And then inside cmBuilder, you're creating a snapshot of what your site is going to look like. And all these resources, your fences, gates, trailers, your hoist location, crane location. So think of all the general condition, the temporary work. So it's heavily focused on site logistics, planning and defining what your site is going to look like. So all these resources are coming from a drag and drop library from, I'll also show that in a moment, but essentially you just drag and drop, place that in here, you bring in a sequence as well, and everything is tied to the dates coming in from your sequence. And especially as I mentioned, the 3D models. So once you bring in a 3D model, you can show that model coming to life and what your site is going to be like in each of those phases. And at the end, once you have that, you just go and hit the share button. And there are many different ways for you to go and collaborate and share and communicate with the owners and the clients. So we have the legacy, the 2D modes of sharing, but also I'm going to talk about you just sharing as a link. It's a web-based. You're not sharing files. You're sharing links over there. Also, we have some QTO options. You can export them as well. But yeah, that's a very quick gist of what you get in cmBuilder. Just quickly come in here, create what your site plans are going to be like, and at the end, you go and share with the owners. All right, so I'm going to switch to a new site over here. Oops, not the right one. But let's go create a new project from scratch. Now, we do have a couple integrations in the product. So depending on different users, they want to use Procore or ACC. So we have both the integrations available in the product. So just going to quickly talk about them. Procore, you will have an embedded experience where you can, without leaving the Procore environment, you can stay in there. Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can bring push-pull like the models directly from the ACC inside cmBuilder. But you can either start creating a new project directly from cmBuilder. So I'm just going to name this one as a demo project, or you can say I can name this one an open demo. And then there are a few labels you can div that project for depending on your bid planning construction phase. So let's say you're starting on the bid one, and then we have some security at the project level. So if you wanna you're working on some confidential government projects, you want to grant access to different users, only certain users, you can pick a closed one, or quite everybody in the company that can have access to that project. So you go hit next, set up 3D map. So that's the very first step. You can enter the address anywhere in the world. So that's the starting point. So I'm actually going to go to Tokyo. I'm going to go and see. I've never been there, but you enter the address anywhere in the world from in the search bar. It's going to take you up there. And the UI, what you're seeing on the screen, You can switch between the satellite imagery, the street imagery. This information is coming from Mapbox. It's a similar satellite information provider as Google Earth. And then once you have that generated, you can switch between different options. Like you can change the size of the map tile, small, medium, large. You can go custom as well. Once you're happy with that, hit generate. And what that's going to do is going to generate a 3D map tile. And it's computing in the background your satellite imagery, the elevations, the topographic elevations over here, as well as the surrounding buildings, what you will see over here. So this is a very densely populated area, and you can see all these white blocks. These are all surrounding buildings based off just the address that you entered. And depending on what you see, also the terrain, what you see up here, these are topographic elevations coming from satellite, but there are ways in the product that you can bring in. You can improve the accuracy of the top layer of the map using the custom terrain feature. But once you're good, you hit topographic or flat, you hit apply. And what that's going to do, it's just going to take you to the next window where you're going to be spending the bulk of your time. And a lot of other users, what they like to do, they improve upon from what you already see. For example, this imagery, this satellite image over here, it's actually going to improve in the next couple of minutes. It's post-processing. But the surrounding buildings, you can totally adjust them. So for example, if I try to find something, let's say this building over here, I can hit adjust, and you can change the heights of these buildings. You can move them around. Most of the objects in the product, you will see you can move. You're not just stuck with them. But to the point of improving what you already see here, you can bring in your own files in here. So for example, you're flying drones or you want to bring in a Google Earth image as well, you can bring that in here, drape it on top of the map. We have a project on terrain feature. So any image you bring in as a JPEG PDF, you can bring and use the project on terrain and see that in here, like this Google Earth image. Also, you're flying drones, so you have those mesh files, and especially this orthomosaic image is very detailed. Looks pretty good. But if you have those mesh files, you can bring in those mesh files to visualize the existing conditions. For example, you're doing the demolition, you're visualizing that, the steps, and then drag and drop the elements from the resource library inside cmBuilder, where your excavator's coming in, the axis, the fence. So you can work with that and those files in here too. So let me switch to this side over here. And what I'll do, I already have a 3D model. So you can bring in your step, IFC, and FBX. It's pretty open BIM. And the way with the 3D model it works, you'll be able to access the full tree structure of that 3D model as well. In here, we also have, you can bring in multiple drawings, just like I showed you, like any satellite image, you can bring in any different drawings you can use for planning. And once you're good to go, once you're set up, you can start dragging and dropping the resources in here. So I'm going to switch to 2D mode, and I'm going to pull up that library I was showing, talking initially. So this library, it's a very extensive collection of parametric and non-parametric objects. Think of all things logistics, your construction equipments, tools in here, categorized in different sections. And the way it works, I like to use the search bar over here. I can go up, look for typed in fence, look for the different kinds of fences available. Let's pick this construction site hoarding fence. And this is where you start seeing that cmBuilder is more like an authoring tool. It's not just for viewing purposes over here. And what you can do is I can drag and drop, just sketch out what that fence is going to look like. So let's say there are different ways for you to sketch as well. If you notice in the top right part of the screen are line, circle, rectangle. I can simply go and let's say for simplicity, I'm going to pick rectangular. This is what the boundary of my site is going to look like. And as soon as I draw that sketch, instantly it's going to give me some data. What's the panel height, the panel length, the total length of that fence going to be like. And then if I go back in my 3D, if I zoom in a little bit, and you can visualize where your fence you just laid down there. I can change the properties. I can change the color of that fence. I can bring in my own company logo. So I see a logo built. You can have this on different resources. So think of like going in a meeting, especially in Pursuit with the client's logo or even your own logos, you can have that in there. And this goes same with any other resource that you're going to be building or adding in here, like offices, trailers, cranes, especially even workers on the west. You can still have that. I'll show you in a moment. But next thing, let's say you want to identify, plan your vehicular access, your pedestrian access. So maybe I want to add this double sliding gate. snaps to the part of the fence, removes the fence, the gate is added in there, hit adjust, and then you can use these blue handles directly in the browser. So this is what the parametric resource allows you to do. You can adjust the resources directly in the browser, what you see in there. Once you're good to go, you hit done, and that's how you work with these resources. Okay, I'm gonna hide the model and come back to the model later, but it's very easy to hide the model. I can just go hit temporary hide. And then couple more steps you can do, especially when you're in the site setup phase, defining, you can figure out where your site trailers are going to be, where your loading area, laydown areas are going to be. So we use this zones tool, and I like to use this combination with 3D labels. But if you want to allocate certain area on your site, let's say I'm going to draw this and I can change the colors and have textures displayed. Maybe this, I want to have asphalt or gravel. I can pick that one. And this is where I want to allocate it to my loading area. I can set a property loading area and then want to add a label. I can drag and drop a label as well. And for this label, you can project on terrain as well, and you can enter any text to define what it's going to be on this side. So it's my loading area. Maybe this part of the job, this side over here, is where you want to have your trailers on the map. So I can, again, drop another label over here. You can change the colors. You can change the background as well. So let's define all my site offices. They're going to be sitting over here. Hit done. And then once you have that label, you can go to the catalog and define which ones you want to drop in there. So we have whole different kinds of trailers of all dimension, parametric and some standard sizes as well. But as soon as I dropped in this trailer, you can have that branding. So maybe I can have that branding in here. Um, I can duplicate these objects quickly. So Control C, Control V, place them, and maybe I don't want this gate over here. I can just double tap and move the gate to the side and add a pedestrian gate. So maybe a turnstile gate over here. I can add that gate. So you get the idea. You can keep going, keep adding these resources from the library in here, muster point where your material storage on the site is going to be. But that's how simple, just drag and drop, dead easy. It works with those 3D models, resources from the library. Okay, so the next part, let's talk about the phasing. How do you set up those phases? You can bring in your own schedule. So depending on what kind of tool you're using for scheduling, Asta, P6, PowerPoint, Microsoft projects, you can bring in those files directly in the platform. So the way it works, you go to import schedule, you bring in those files, it's going to pull up the UI, it's going to show all the tasks and the dates, and you can pick the ones, let's say you bring 1,000 lines, you want to bring in at the top 50 phases that you want to show in your simulation. So I'm going to pick a few just to show how it works. You can pick end date, started, or both the dates if you want to show the duration as well. I can pick maybe a foundation pour, maybe I want to pick my structure level 8 podium, and then the next, just finish it off my weather tight facade in this case. Once you do that, it's going to show you these are the tasks. You hit apply, and automatically it's going to spit that all out inside cmBuilder in the form of these milestones. Now, these milestones, they are created from the dates and the tasks coming in from your schedule file. And what's a milestone inside cmBuilder? Just think of as a phase in your construction, what it's going to be like in that date in that phase. So the next part, we also have a way, let's say your schedule is changing. It goes same with the model as well. You want to update, you can update that schedule with a simple click of a button. You update with a new schedule. We have our own ID. You don't have to worry about all the details, but you just bring in a new schedule. It automatically syncs up, brings in the new task in here, and automatically syncs up all the resources and everything in here. You don't have to worry about all the crazy part of like, what about the different IDs? None of that is required. But essentially, once you have these in here, and same goes with the model. So if you have an updated model, you can always go with a 3D model in here. We have different models. You can click update with new model, and you can update that model with the new one and bring in here. But let's just go inside the excavation milestone, the next one, and I will show you how you can start working with these excavation sequences. It's a very popular tool in here. So the way it works with excavation, ideally you would be swapping this drawing. You will be bringing in a geotechnical drawing and to use for excavation or its foundation drawing. You can create your cuts, fills, and ramps. So those are the three main operations with the excavation tool. And let's go in a 2D mode. It's way easier and it's quicker as well and more accurate. So I can go draw a cutover following my drawing, assuming I have a foundation drawing in here. I'm just going to do a quick two cut sequence just for simplicity. Once you add a cut in here, you can define what's the depth of that cut. So maybe I want to go first by the first cut. I want to have a 5 meter deep cut. You can control each wall of that cut that you draw. So let's say all over them over here. Let's say the seawall, I want to have vertical slope, but the rest are backfilled and sloped. I can do that. Also, slope in, slope out, control sing. You want to have some slope ratio for each of the walls. You can do that. Once you're good, you hit done. You visualize that excavation cut, go to the next milestone, and then pick, maybe draw another cut. I want to finish it off my excavation sequence. And this time, I don't want any of my walls to be sloped. So it's pretty easy. I can just turn that toggle off. Everything, all my walls will be regular vertical sloped. Let's change the depth. Let's make it 10 meters deep. And also you can use the vertical slider from here in the viewer or just enter the value. I can change the colors as I'm working through. So depending on if you want to show different sequences, different phases of excavation or different soil profiles, you can do that. And now as you see a difference in elevation, so let's drag and drop a ramp, which is pretty straightforward. It snaps to the wall of the cut, places the nav, which is always parametric, width, height, change the grade. You can change the color as well, showing, okay, this in the ramp phase. Now, as you're working through these excavation operations, it will automatically, if you go to the earthwork takeoff, it pulls up your compact volumes, your loose volumes, you can bring in a swell factor. So this data is coming automatically based on the sketching that you're doing in the excavation tool. And you can use this data, export it outside as an Excel and use it for estimating tools purposes as well. So maybe not useful in this two cut sequence, but especially working with multi-level excavation cuts and fills and ramps, these different parquet levels, or even horizontal projects, you can go and have that pull up the earthwork takeoff, and it's going to use it. Okay, how many trucks you're going to be needing in those phases? How many, what soil volumes you'll be needing in those phases? So you can use it for quite useful that data for estimating as you're working through. Okay, of course, as you're working in these excavation sequences, you will be working different options, geotechnical options. So you can plan and work through different ways of planning the same project with the help of scenarios in the product. So if I go back to the first project that I created over here, every single time you create a new project, there's a default scenario that's there for you to work in, but you can always duplicate a scenario in here. You can create multiple different scenarios, and this is what I mean by option. So option one, you want to have a one crane, one hoist scenario versus option two, two crane, two hoist scenario. So you can have multiple different scenarios. That's how you work, and we tackle like different ways of planning the same project. Um, Also, at the same time, when you're working here in the different geotechnical resources, whether you want to use a shotcrete wall or a secant pile, I can go to the catalog, just drag and drop the ones that I want. Let's use this wood lagging soldier pile. It's a parametric resource. I can draw a line, a polyline in this case. And as soon as I draw it, I will can visualize, and based on the drawing, I can figure out what's the total height and the total length of that resource going to be like. So this is the same idea. You can go maybe in a different scenario, work with a short grid wall and have that for the same project in here. So that's how you can work with different optioneering inside cmBuilder. Okay, so as I'm moving through, the next milestone is foundation pour. So this is where you will now see how you can start utilizing the elements from the 3D model that you brought in. So once you go into a milestone, I'm working in my foundation pour, my retail, I want to show the parts of the element that are relevant in this case. So all I have to do is just right click and say begin from this milestone, and those elements will pop up and it'll show you in the viewer, and it will carry forward all the way to the future milestone as well, just like in real life. And once you show those elements from the 3D model, now as a planner, you're thinking of the persona of, okay, what do I need other items to execute that phase? So I'm thinking of my concrete equipments, my traffic management plans, any lane closures, all that good stuff. So let's go drag and drop this concrete pump truck. I also like to use this 11-yard concrete truck as well. I can place that in here. Depending on this part of the job, if you're performing it yourself or you'll be subbing it out to someone else, so you can place these trucks, you can color code. Some users like to use different colors for different objects in here. So I can maybe say all the blue trucks belong to us, but all the green trucks maybe they are subbed out, and you can have logos placed on these trucks as well. Just like I mentioned, for any resources, the branding comes in built with it. So you just drag and drop the logo. Maybe I want to put this built one and show, you can have shown up in the trucks. And as they are parametric in nature, so what that means is they, you can go very detailed, show even the chutes down to the chutes in place. So users call it, this is almost like a game, but SimCity, but for construction. But you can go very detailed and play with it, have some fun, have a digital twin, one-to-one representation of your site plan. And once I say that, especially if you look at this pump truck, this is a very, I like this resource quite a lot. It's, you have all these different handles show up, and you can go very detailed. So all these numbers, like how much you can rotate, the boom rotation, the nozzle rotation, these are not some generic numbers. They're coming from an actual manufacturer spec sheet. So if I hit preview, it's going to pull up that, okay, this is the 61 5.18 JXRZ Alliance Concrete pump truck. These are the boom parameters. These are the pump parameters. So all those adjustments, what you see up there, coming in from that spec sheet. So it's all built to scale, not some generic models. And you just use that and place them and do your planning. And as you can imagine, we have quite a lot of customers from different areas. So if you do find anything in the library, but you're not able to find, but you want to use in your simulation, any resource, any equipment. So we have this resource request option dedicated just for that purpose. If you're not able to find anything, just come in here, let us know, type in there, maybe I need an XYZ crane. We will just build that resource for you and add to the catalog. There's no there's no cost to that. There's no, you just let us know what you need and we'll add it to the catalog. And there's no, the wait time is typically 24 to 72 hours. Normally speaking, if it's a simple resource, we'll be able to just quickly create it and add to the library. But there's no bottleneck in terms of what resource you can use or what you cannot. You need anything, just let us know, we'll add it in there. And as you're working in this stage, looking at my safety plans, so my traffic management, any flaggers, so I can search for, go for safety, and we have all these different traffic controls, signages. You can add that in there. You can go very detailed, like create a digital twin. Let's use something simple. I'm gonna add a multi-color water barrier. I'm gonna delineate this heavy equipment zone. Okay, I have that in there. And maybe next I want to drag and drop a flagger in there too. So I can search for a flagger. We have different resources. You can go very detailed, as I mentioned. If you're very, you want to go quite detailed with the branding, you can have that logo even on the helmet or the vest of that flagger in there too. In there, but you get the idea. You can keep going, have these in there, show arrows, trucks coming in, going out. Also, while I'm on this phase, I do want to show the animation part. This question comes up quite a lot. So if you want to show like trucks coming in and leaving your site, you can quickly use the feature called 3D line. So you can draw that line of any shape with the help of the sketch tool. You can add an arc in there. This is how you want to show it. Maybe you want to show the part where the truck is going, entering your site, and then maybe you're leaving your site. But once you draw that in there, you can control how do you want to have it look. Maybe I want to change the dash scale, change the density of that line, change the color. And if I drag and drop a resource, I'm going to use this dump truck. Pretty simple, straightforward. And we have some templates for animation already built in the product. So as soon as you drop a truck and it comes in with a template, you just pick, okay, swept path, and the truck's going to start animating and show driving in there. You can control the speed. You can, if you have experience with visual programming, if I show you what the graph's going to look like, pretty straightforward. You can control, change the speed, but we do have some of these in templates inbuilt you can use, but that's how you can show that piece of animation, like trucks moving in, going out, or and even especially with the case of the truck, like swept path analysis, we do have some resources already that comes with those um, um, area as well. So for example, this one, if I drag and drop this intermediate semi truck, it comes with those swept path already built in, so you can use it for planning and validating if it's actually going to be able to make the turns on your site in there. And of course, this is parametrics. You can adjust that too in here. Okay, so as you're working with the resources, I do want to emphasize that there's a logical link between these resources and to your milestones, the dates at the top. So what I mean by that is that the next up is my structure level 8. So if I want to show these resources, I don't want them to show up in my next milestone, I can quickly right click edit and say, okay, these concrete resources, I want them to show from my foundation port. I want them to leave in the same milestone. So you control the visibility of the resources coming in and leaving your site. It's pretty straightforward. And now if I go in the next milestone, you can see those resources are gone. And that's how you pretty much work with choosing when and where your different resources they show up in your planning stage. So I'm in my next milestone, structure level 8, same idea, go to the part of the tree and just say, hey, begin from this milestone, show the model till the podium level. And lastly, in my last milestone, I'll have the rest of the tower show up. Now, this is something I'm doing with the help of the tree of the model in here, but we all know that the tree is not always the best thing you work with. It's quite often being messed. So if you don't want to work with the tree, you can just straight away just work directly with the model in view in directly in the viewer. So I can just lasso select that parts of the elements from the 3D model, go into edit model element, and just as I showed with the resources, you can also sequence certain elements directly using the from and the to timeline method. So I can say I want these elements to show up from X milestone, leave in the Y milestone. So it's pretty straightforward. Any model elements editing. So if you want to remove certain elements, you can remove them as well. So quite useful feature. You don't want certain elements, you can do that, but also you can sequence those elements from the 3D model directly in here too.
Hey, Ishu, can I chime in? So yeah, typically we're trying to connect these three things, right? Your program, your imported model. You don't need to have an imported model. We have a masking tool as well, but mostly most projects are starting to go 3D BIM. So and then your temporary works, all your temporary resources, scaffolding, fencing, cranes, and those are the elements that tend to start from and to, but the building tends to either be demolished at a certain stage or begins from a certain stage, right? So that's how the logic is created when you're doing your sequencing. Go ahead.
Yeah. The final part is where I want to show the crane planning. So when you're planning working with the cranes, I like to have a full building in view. And also at the same time, the surrounding area, it's much better so I can see if there's any intersection encroaching in any of the neighboring buildings. So I can go look up for the kinds of crane I want to use. So if we have a lot of fixed cranes, 110 total, actually was 108 yesterday, so we just added two in a day. Mobile cranes 137. So you can either go search by the family. I work quite a lot with the JSO family. I can search up for JSO. It's going to pull up all the different kinds of JSO cranes available, fixed JSO cranes. And let's say if I want to use this JSO luffing crane, I drag and drop and on my site plan. It's a parametric resource. I pull that up, but let's say I realize no, I don't want to use that crane, even though it's not going to be suiting well for the job. I can quickly swap this with a different kind of crane. So I can hit the swap button. Let's go pick. I'm going to go with the tower crane in this case. So I can say maybe I want to use this flat top 560. Yes, I want to swap. It's going to remove that crane, put in the new one. I can go adjust, and then I can use the different parametric handles in here to figure out, okay, what's the best possible, like the best location, best, let's say the gibble and the maximum. I can see it can go 85 meters. And these again numbers are coming from the spec sheet. So I can hit preview. It's going to pull up that spec sheet for this resource. And based on the spec sheet, I can go and plan and see if it's actually going to be able to make the pick for that gypline or that hook location in there. Let's say for this HVAC unit, I can use that for planning. Also, when you're working in here, you can go in a top-down view. You can go in a 2D mode. It's going to give you this clean visualization of what the total envelope of your crane is going to be like. You can play figure out the hook location, and as I mentioned, you can figure out where your best optimum location of the crane will be for that job. Now, one thing, if you notice, I did place the crane, but I don't have any milestone that shows up where exactly or when that crane is coming into my site. So I can always add new milestones in here. So you're not just stuck with the dates, the task coming in from your schedule, but even after, let's say, after my foundation pour, I want to add a milestone, I can say, let's go have this my crane install. You can pick a date. On that date, you want to show that crane is being installed. And the only thing remaining you want to do is go to that crane, and then I want this crane to show up from my crane install phase. You do that, and if you go back to that, oops, looks like this has not been sequenced yet, but it will show up the rest of the crane in that milestones. So for example, even this 3D model that shows up there, I can say I want this the rest of the part facade to show from my last milestone. I can do that, and then you go drill down this crane pad. It's also parametric. You can switch and change and figure out if there are any intersections with my foundation elements or my geotechnical elements. You can go and plan. So yeah, many different ways how you can work with the planning of the cranes in the product. Okay, so one last thing before I show you the final ways how you can share is we do have a presentation and markup tool inbuilt in the product. So what this allows you to do is think of all of the milestone that you've been adding so far. There's a default slide created for them. And think of them as a presentation slide. You are enhancing, adding some elements. So inside a slide, you can go add some items. So I can go add a call out maybe for this crane I want to talk about when I'm showing to the owner that crane swing review, it's still pending. So you add any contextual information in there. Maybe I want to take a screenshot of how do you want to show this view to the owners? I can click capture angle. It's going to take a screenshot and add it to the slide. And you do the same for every single slide that you want to show in there. So that's how you build a storyboard for every single milestone from the very early on. Maybe in the first milestone, you want to show more focus more on the gate. And the way is if you're on any other milestone or in any other view, if you click on that slide, it automatically just going to take you there to that view with that any information in that slide that you have in there. So now if I switch back to the first project that I shared initially, uh, to share, there are many different ways. You just hit the share, and these are all the different options that pulls up. Resource Q2, if you notice at the top, export resource Q2, what this is going to do, it's going to export an Excel with it in list of all your resources that you've used in your planning in cmBuilder. It will give you a list of all your porta potties, your trailers, how many cones you have, and you can use and take that on Excel in the estimating side, maybe add a unit cost to it and use it for other estimating cost perspective as well. But the main two ones of the logistics plan, how do you want to share them? There are 2D and 3D options for you to share. So in terms of 2D, the legacy 2D options, so you can go with the PDFs and the PNG files. With the PNG, you can go max 16K high-res files, highly detailed images. So what that's going to look like, I do have a couple examples that I can pull up here. Basically, you just go at the end, share a set of like 30, 40 images of your overall site. Here I'm going in reverse, but essentially you just capture and you can save views in your slides of what your site is going to look like, excavation, different stages coming in here, and you just go and share that set of images to show the client, okay, this is how we're gonna look like. But the most popular is simply generating a live link. So I can go hit next, presentation mode. If you're gonna hide the dates, you can hide the dates. You hit generate link, it's gonna create a link for you, or you can download a QR code and send that QR code over. But the very easy way is just share the link. So I'm actually gonna paste this link in the chat. I'm not sure if this can be accessed, but um, basically once you're sharing the links, the idea is that the end user, they don't need to have access to cmBuilder, they don't need to have any credentials. You just share a link to the owner, hey, just have a look at this, what the plan is going to look like. They open up on the browser on their end, click the play button, and it's going to start playing the entire sequence all by itself. So think of the ways that you have set up the camera angles in your slides, and the way you have set up your milestone, it's going to keep showing. And the nice thing is, if the client, they hit the pause button on their end, for them it just becomes like a 360 view directly in the browser. You can fly around, you can zoom out, you can zoom in, have a much closer look at the plants. It's a much more intuitive and interactive in the browser as opposed to those 2D static images or even the videos. There's a much nicer way of looking at the plans, validate, okay, this is where you have all the staging. If all looks good, you hit the play button, it's going to keep playing the entire sequence the way you have set that up. So that's method one. You can share by PNGs, PDFs, or just share a link. Method two is you can invite different users into the platform. So because this is an unlimited user platform, we'll talk about the pricing also at the end, but you can invite, say, hey, we have all roles and permissions. You can give who can edit, who can view, you can come in here. And a part of that is once you invite the users, we have this multiplayer mode, if you notice at the top. So what this multiplayer mode allows you to do is you can, depending on how many users, you can bring in multiple users, join the same scenario. So in this same scenarios on the screen, I have Javier also join. He's in the same. And if I click Javier Glad's initial, I'm actually going to see Javier is sitting in this excavator bucket.
I'm sitting in the bucket right now. You're visualizing what the excavator sees. So I'm
And this
sitting in the
is
bucket here.
me seeing what Javier is actually viewing. So it's a nice way of synchronous collaboration. You are in a meeting, join this link, and you can follow each other's camera, just like as in Google Doc or Figma. You can see each other. It's a nice way of using that in here, just visualizing and seeing Javier's okay, and you can talk through and work collaboratively at the same time. But if not, if you, let's say your users are not there at the same time, we have this asynchronous collaboration feature called commenting. So if you want to ask any questions, a lot of time back and forth questions, comments between teams, but you can do it all while staying inside cmBuilder. So I can go add a comment on this wheel washing station. Maybe I want me doing planning. I can ask my site team, hey, did we carry this in our budget? We see this quite a lot. Um, and you can ask this question, tag the users. What it's going to do is Howard is going to get a ping on his end and then email. He can open that. He can reply to me there. And once I get the reply, I can hit resolve. So also you're managing those communication and those back and forth communications directly in the app. So that's also the beauty of web-based product. He probably got pinged in his watch as well. And I can
Yep.
reply. I can say, okay, this we did, all good, looks great, and you can also manage the previous past comments there too. But yeah, that's more or less I intended to show. We do have a couple more features, like I mentioned, animations and massing, but especially in something like this, you can have a finished scenario at the end with cars moving, people walking on the street. You can use the textures on the zone, and this is the occupancy phase, and you can go and share it. It's a very good level quality output quality that you can go and share directly to the clients where you have the building and the rest of the information also in there. I'm going to
Thanks,
quickly
Ishu.
pause if there are any
Yeah, that's great.
questions. Yeah.
I'll jump in. If there are any questions, you're welcome to unmute and just ask. Um, or you can pop them in the chat if there's any questions on the product side before we get into like pricing and business model stuff.
Javier, it's Alex here. I think last time we spoke, there wasn't the ability to kind of reorientate your project. Like we want it north to stay north, but we do roads that aren't
Oh,
north,
yeah.
south, east, west. Is there any kind of way to shift that rectangle now?
Not yet. True
Okay.
north is it's a complicated topic. There's a way to move the view, but not the grid. So like when you're sketching and you want the grid to be kind of like true north on the sketch, but not yet. We actually used to have it. We had to pull it out because it was causing a bunch of problems, and bugs and stuff like that. So that is still in the roadmap, but not at this time.
Yeah, it's a true north fine, but I guess we just kind of want to rotate the grid around. I guess north still north.
Yeah, the grid itself doesn't rotate yet, so that's something that we're working on.
No worries.
Any other questions from the group? There's been lots of questions in the chat, so thank you very much. I saw, turnaround times about 20. It depends on your subscription. We'll get into it anywhere from a day or less. I mean, we had a customer just before this call who just wanted us to extend a parameter of one of the resources, and we did it in like 10 minutes. So that's the nice thing about a web-based solution is that, like, you just refresh the page, you got the parameter change. So it's a lot easier to manage improvements. We do release every Monday, so we're constantly, sometimes just small stuff, but we're constantly improving the product. Being a web-based product, we have a lot of benefits that way, where you can just refresh the page and get the latest features. So we're quite passionate about just continuously improving the product using feedback from our customers from around the world. So maybe we'll just go dive into issue. If you want to do business model, we can go from there.
Yeah, so the information on the business model is on our landing page as well. But the way it works, we have three main packages: standard, premium, and enterprise. So standard, think of 5,000 total US dollars for the entire company. You just pay one price. it's unlimited users. All packages come with unlimited users, and 5,000 premium goes 9,000. What you're getting in there, it includes 5 active projects. You start with 5 active projects, 5,000. That's the entry, and you always have like unlimited archive. So you can always archive a project. And what's an active project? Think of, any project you're working currently, you're inviting users, you're sharing links, but you can always archive it. So if you click on the 3 dots, hit archive, it's going to go to the archive tab. It's going to be there. It's the read only, but you can always pull it back. So let's say you've been called again on the project you're not been working on, you can always unarchive it in a couple of weeks and bring it back to active. So that's how you manage the push and pull between active and archive. So standard 5,000, premium 9,000 bumps up with some more value, more features like custom branding, textures that I showed you, asphalt. You have anything that improves the output presentation quality. They're gonna come in that premium the texture catalog. So you pay 9,000. Again, if you want to add some more projects, you can pay like a prorated amount, small fee, and you can add that pack in there. And then price is always everything negotiable. But also the one last part I want to mention, all these packages comes with unlimited training and support. We are very passionate. We have a great team up here, and we include a lot of ways how you can interact, get in touch with us. So for example, you can use the chat. It's live chat. It's not a bot chat, thankfully, yet. It's a live agent you're going to be talking to. You can book a support session, a Teams call anytime you're going in. We have lots of users. We have a pursuit meeting coming up Tuesday. We'll book a meeting on Monday. Help me spruce up the presentation. We'll come in and give you some suggestions. You can book any sessions. Also, a lot of self-directed training materials. So tutorial videos, these YouTube videos, some small 3 to 6 minute videos. How do I create a project? How do you bring in a model? How do I create a massing milestones? And then also, if you wanna, we have the support center, anything related to models, or anything topic you're bringing in a file. Let's say I've been working recently this drone scans, bringing in a OBJ file. You can search that, and it will have like a text that you can use. So yeah, all training and support is included in the product. It's part of subscription, and yeah, we'll help you make sure you're successful.
Yeah, so basically, if there's any questions about the business model, the idea is that we just there's no cap on users. It's an enterprise platform, internal, external. You can control everyone's user permissions and stuff like that. The idea is it's a collaboration platform. And then if you expand and you want to use the product more, you pay a little bit more to unlock more active projects. If you don't expand or change it, you pay the same, right? So it's basically usage based. What we can do is we'll send you this recording after the fact, and some of this links with business models, stuff like that. And then if there's no other questions now, we'll send our contact information. So if there's any questions you have after this demo, and you want to kind of keep the conversation going, we'd be very happy to do that. And we just want to say thank you very much for taking the time today and joining the demo. We're right at the time here, 45 minutes. Good job, Ishu. You know, yeah, you're making sure we're efficient with time. And just want to say thank you so much for joining today, and we will follow. We'll be sending out this recording if you want to share it with anyone else in your company, and go from there. Thank you very much. Have a great
Thanks,
night.
everyone.
Great day for APAC. Night for us. We're in Canada.